Alright. Looks like we should be golden.
Alright.
Testing 1, 2, 3. My mic's a little low on this. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, this sounds good. Let me hear you again.
This sounds good. Let me hear you again.
Okay.
Alright.
Should be all set. Let me just run across the map and hide in bushes somewhere. Okay.
You're listening to TSF.
Ludicrous speed! Go!
The Team Sports Chaos Network.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air. President Roosevelt has just announced.
The beta people started using demo rushes and grenadiers and half tracks, and it seems to be pretty effective as a diversion.
Deutschland von 1 hat 3/4 die Waffenziele gelegt. Ich habe die Grundfestungsziele erfüllt.
Mirror matches are a tricky thing. Lots of people do want the mirror matches, but there's their balance problems, you know? I mean, one of the things that I like to talk about...
We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island.
This is Bridge 1 to TSN Central. Tales of Heroes is a go. Repeat, Tales of Heroes is a go.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome! Tales of Heroes number 15. It's a viewer-submitted replay here. And, this is hopefully going to be not too bad, actually. It's a level 7 Axis versus level 8 Allies. I am Bridger. Joining me, as always, the gallant and talented and very tired Vittensby.
Bridger, but I'm glad that we can bring this replay review to the viewers and listeners, and I hope everyone enjoys it. It'll probably be a good learning tool, and as I would expect that the player who sent it said that it was his best game that he ever played, so I'm expecting it to be pretty good, even though it was user submitted and it's supposed to be more of a learning tool than a pro display of pro players.
You know, what I did was I took I got about 18 or so replays submitted, and I just wrote down the names and put them all in a little bucket and picked this one out. So this is the one we're going with. It's Unisex versus Heartcutter. And it's submitted by Joe Gannis, which means I have no idea which one of these guys actually submitted the replay who had the great game, but we'll probably be able to tell by the end. I'll be watching the Allied side to start with here, and Vittensby will be watching the Axis. Actually has a classic start location here on Semois. On this particular map, you have the urban area in the middle with a victory point that is usually very contested, usually going back and forth most of the game. On the right, you have a victory point with a fuel. On the left, you have a victory point with a fuel, and each side has two bottlenecks, right here and right here, and right here and right here, that can be cut off. It's what's known as the Semois pin, if you can get those spots. Or in this case, it could also be up here. So we'll have to see, and then each side also has a quote-unquote bridge that connects their territory to the main center mass from their base. So the Axis base right here, Allied base right here, fairly symmetrical map. Let's get it on. We got the 5-second mark right now, counting down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Game start. All right, so we got a barrack start here from Unisex, who on the Allied side right now. And that, actually, this is one of the maps that actually it's more possible to go Weapon Support Center, I think, than certainly Angeville or any of the other maps. It's a lot easier to go Weapon Support Center, but he's gone barracks. We got a single engineer opening, and his first engineers are going to be headed over the bridge, and so are his second. So he's not going for fuel first, which is interesting.
On this side, obviously, the player is starting out with the Wehrmacht quarters. Heartcutter's not fast building it, he just completed it and he's getting an MG. Usually when you want to get an MG first, you want to fast build it. He's also capturing the medium munitions point to the right of his base instead of the fuel, which would make me think that he's probably going to go tier 2. Whereas you would want to focus more on the munitions early, although to not capture that fuel as your first cap is probably not necessarily the best idea. But we'll see what tactics this Heartcutter decides to use. He's also capping his strap point outside of his base, and hopefully he'll go and use his pioneers to do the Semois pin and wire off the bridge as well as the little path to the right of that.
Yeah, it looks like neither player, I mean, Unisex hasn't gotten his fuel at all yet either. And that's usually a bad thing because fuel dictates so much about the pace of the game. If you can get up to tier 3 before your opponent or tier 4 before your opponent, it can really make a difference. And here comes an MG. As Unisex is trying to wire off the bridge, that's going to be bad. He's not going to be able to do that. His first unit, I don't know, he put that engineer inside of the building first, and then, like, ungarrisoned it and decided to try and cut that off. Usually if you're going to go for a wiring, you want to send it, like, all the way over as fast as you can, rather than just, you know, slowly get it over there eventually. That's usually not a good idea. But have you gotten a fuel capture on your side yet?
He's just starting to cap it right now. Also, he's capping the victory point on the right, which is more or less a mistake. One thing to note was when he deployed his MG to fend off that Ingis, usually if they're in that position, what you might want to do is just go in the building that was right near the MG where it deployed to the right of that. Also, the building that the MG is in right now is a blind spot on the left side of it. If you shoot from the little stone wall, it won't be able to fire back, so that's a good way of actually taking out the MG. It looks like that MG is probably going to lose to the rifle squad. The rifle squad's barely taking any damage. MG first, a lot of people
Is that because the rifle squad's in a stone house? No, they're both in stone houses.
No, I think it's just because that particular house has 4 windows, and the rifles are pretty much able to fight back quite effectively.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
We have a sniper coming up, which is kind of interesting. Sniper misses. I like to go with the Volks opening on this map. I just think it's a lot safer than going in MG first. I've had some bad experiences before with that. We have another MG coming out, so it looks like he's going kind of for a weapon support center style opening since the lack of Volks. That sniper is pretty much blind in one eye because he's not hitting anything. That's because of the visual range that he has, I guess. He can barely see the building. It's not usually a good idea to capture the victory points so early, but it can give you an early lead on VPs, but will that matter? I don't know. It depends how the game progresses.
So I think the major interesting things we've seen here are not capping your early fuel, and I can see not OPing it if you're going for a tier 2 strategy as Axis, but I still think capturing it early is still very important because a lot of the stuff in tier 2 gets even better in tier 3, so a lot of the times you'd really like to get to tier 3 quickly to get, for example, a Flammenwerfer or LMG-42s if you really wanted those. So, or at least to have the option of a Stug if you really needed the extra power. And to me, not capping the fuel as Axis is okay. That's not too big a deal, but not capping it as Allies is a really big problem because so much of the Allies game depends on fuel, and if you're opening with rifle spam, even if you don't plan on going to tier 3 or very quickly or whatever, you really just need to get that fuel ASAP so you can have either grenades or stickies or whatever else you need. By not capping that fuel for the first 2 minutes or so, he's now that much slower getting to grenades if he would really need them. And with all these machine guns, he might really need them. Another probably mistake on the Allied side is not building a Jeep after he sees that sniper pop out the first time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Also, the Axis player positioned that MG that you can see right now when the riflemen are retreating actually into the church first, and he definitely should have just stuck it right into that building. The Axis player also had an MG sitting right by that fuel, but he had it to the south of the hedge, and he didn't have it covering the fuel when the rifles were capturing, so now he's not getting any fuel at all. Also, we had an idle Pioneer by the +5 fuel on the right for quite a while, at least a minute or two. And a small mistake that the Allied player did is once he saw his units were getting sniped by the high munitions points, he should have charged the sniper. That's for sure. Also, I think that the Allied player, Axis player, was actually trying to cap the, or did decap the low munitions point with a sniper. You never want to cap something with a sniper or an MG team unless it's like a game-winning move.
Or unless you know it's really covered. Like if it's your fuel in your backfield and you've got guys covering the fronter area, you know, only because they're so vulnerable when they're capping, and if you don't notice it in time, you can really lose it very easily.
Yeah, and just in general, it reveals to your opponent, it gives them intelligence on where your sniper is located, and it's just overall a bad idea. But we do have the Axis player coming out with a 60 victory point lead, and we'll see if he can capitalize on that. He's spamming a lot of MGs, like he's just basically doing that exclusively.
And what's interesting is he's not camouflaging a sniper. He's actually doing a fairly good job here, because if you're facing riflemen with a sniper, you usually... And wow, he actually kind of pulled his opponent right into a machine gun nest. So that was a very good move. And now he's also... I don't know if maybe his opponent didn't notice the wire there, but that's another thing that you have to be careful of. If you're only suppressed and not pinned in that kind of position, I would suggest trying to crawl away first, because a lot of the times you retreat in a worse path than if you just simply, you know, clicked your guys to crawl away on their stomachs by retreating. By moving. You know, once they're pinned, you have no option. You have to hit the retreat button. But a lot of the time, hitting the retreat button can do more damage on this map simply because of the way that they retreat. And looks like we've got another sniper capping here, the 16 munitions, which isn't, you know, too big of a problem because it's being defended by a machine gun. But like I said before, leaving the sniper decamouflaged, not camouflaged, is very good against infantry, because you can easily run away, because the sniper is just about as fast as the infantry, so you can take a shot, and if they chase you, you run away. And that's exactly what he did. That was a very good move. I mean, we're not just here to point out how badly people screw up. That was a fantastic maneuver right there by the Axis player.
And if you want to put an MG in that building by the bridge, you have to wire off the hedgerow to the left of that bridge. There's just no strategic value in not doing that. And if you don't do that, they can actually break through pretty easily and get a good flank and a grenade on that MG in the building and take it out.
Now here's a question. You got the machine gun nest right down here that's watching the bridge. Does that mean in order to actually put a wire on that, you have to go all the way around the hedge, right?
Initiate oversupply.
You mean to the left of the hedge, kind of where that break is? Yeah, where the little brush is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just put the wire over there, and that's how you can block them in your base. The ally player right now, if he doesn't have an OP on his fuel, if he wants to win this game or even stay in it to survive, I mean, he has to go and get an OP on his fuel. And basically the ally player is doing exactly what he should be doing, which is walking through that little path and trying to get on the field and do something with his riflemen. Yeah, the Axis player definitely could have wired that off.
He's actually got an OP on both fuels, and he's got an armored car that's sitting there. And usually, I mean, it might have just popped out and I didn't notice it, but he's leaving it there for an awfully long time. Now he's bringing it forward.
Well, I have an idle MG42 that's been there for at least 3 or 4 minutes, actually, right next to the bunker in the south. It's just sitting there. Hasn't done anything. Maybe not 3 or 4 minutes, but at least 2 minutes solid. That's not good. We have a Grenadier squad coming out. He does have almost 200 munitions, so he will be able to get 2 Panzerschrecks on that. A mine would be really smart, or 2. He has a lot of munitions, so definitely you want to put a mine down. That's how you can stop an early motor pool advance. Just put a mine on that road outside the Allies' bridge, put a mine on the other road, and that's exactly what he didn't do, and now he's going to have some harassment issues with this armored car.
I'll mention that there's some really decent mine placement here by the allied player on the right near the victory point. He's got barbed wire to make sure the opponent has to come through this area, which means he's going to run one way or another right into that mine and lose most of the health on his machine gun squad. It lets his opponent know he's there, and this is one of the reasons you don't cap with a machine gun squad. They're going to get annihilated really quickly because of that mine. They got low health. I don't think they're going to even be able to retreat even if he notices them here. There it goes. One more, it's gone. Very nice placement by the allied player. So actually some really good moves by both players in this game. So this is turning out to be a fairly decent game overall, as opposed to a complete new player. These guys both have some pretty good moves. We got 2 armored cars in the field now, and those are going to probably counter the machine guns in the buildings quite nicely.
Yeah,
given a little while.
His sniper just got owned, and he should be putting those grenadiers in the. Heartcutter should be putting those grenadiers in the building if he wants them to live past 10 seconds from now. And he got another grenadier squad. I might have got an AT gun. They really take out motor pool units fast. We had a grenadier grenade going off. I didn't see if it
completely missed. Actually, he threw it, and then all the rifle guys hadn't been moving right at the same moment.
If that grenadier squad died, that would have been a major hit to the Axis.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't seen any Volk squads yet, but it doesn't really surprise me because no one really made that many Volks in the beta. There was mainly MG spam on Semois. We do have, it looks like Armor Company.
Yep.
Uni is raiding with his armored car.
See, I think this is a mistake. He's only got 1 Panzerschreck equipped on this Grenadier squad. He's got to go up against an armored car and 6 riflemen inside the building there. So he actually did the correct thing. He backed off when he realized the odds he was up against. And that's what he really needed to do. So at this point, he needs to, I think, just fall back to his base, gather his forces, and put them all in one place, because he cannot right now deal with the enemy on a spread-out basis. It's just that the Allies have an armored car on each side, so his armored cars are pressed around. He actually got a really nice Panzerschreck into the building there. That was nice. And actually, this is not a bad time to attack, because the armored car can't attack while it's capping.
Yeah, exactly. That's an interesting balance issue, I guess. But if you notice that the armored car on the right has the, I think it's a 30 cal upgrade, and it makes it a lot more effective
50
against
cal,
WoW.
I think.
Is it 50 cal? Let's
Yep.
see. Well, it doesn't say. But yeah. Oh, and he has veterancy on his grenadiers, which is good. Level 1 veterancy will give you a little bit of health regeneration. Level 2 gives you a little bit of light
Armor boost.
Arms, yeah. Well, light arms protection, basically.
Right.
So yeah, like a little bit of an armor boost. The third one, I believe, increases the health of the squad by something like 20%.
Yep.
Gives them the best armor class in the game, which I think is heroic, and then also makes them less the ability to be suppressed less. Yes. We have a half track coming out on the field. That's probably not necessarily the best choice, because the ACs do kill half-tracks pretty quickly, but he pretty much needs it to reinforce in the field. Might have been a better choice than an AT gun at this point, and he doesn't have the munitions really for another Grenadier squad. He's gone defensive doctrine, so he does have For the Fatherland right now. And I think he does have Fortify the Perimeter as well. No, he hasn't selected his second point yet, but he does have a point in queue.
Now this is interesting. We had an OP on a strat point over here, and that's almost all the time not worth it. But I can see why he did that, because he really wanted to keep the fuel on the left here. He actually had no OP up here, but he did build one. And it actually did slow down his opponent. If his opponent hadn't gone tier 2 with Panzerschrecks, I think that OP definitely would have slowed him down. I don't know that it would have been worth, 200 manpower, but it certainly would have helped. And now here's a problem. He took all that time to destroy the OP to potentially cut off his opponent's fuel, and then he went and tried to cut off a different point that is much... Oh, and he lost his Grenadier squad. That's going to be bad. He's got 2 more, though, so I guess it's not all bad. He managed to kill an armored car in the middle. He's retaken the initiative in the center. He's got another Grenadier squad with Panzerschreck, so I guess losing it wasn't that big a deal, but he really shouldn't have lost it to begin with. Cutting off his opponent from everything on the whole left-hand side. Very good job That was a fantastic maneuver, actually. He brought up all his force, like I mentioned. He needed to get everything together in one place and concentrate it, and that was how he just took the initiative right there.
Yeah, he definitely needs to pick up that Panzerschreck. If he doesn't
Hang on a
pick
second.
that up,
I'm going to pause it here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll just switch sides, and then you can continue.
And what time are we at?
15:37.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay, great.
I'm
Alright,
switched. Let me know when you're ready.
I mean, I didn't see where the OP was. I guess I missed that, but
It was on the strap point on the upper portion. That
by the house.
By the house,
on the
yeah.
left. Well, that's weird. I would have probably put it by the base, but either one of those locations isn't really that great for an OP. That's a squad right there, or half a tank depot. And oh, he does have a tank depot up. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, with that many grenadier squads and that much tier 2, you really have to go and get a croc, and hopefully that's what he'll be making.
Well, how much fuel does he have? I didn't see before I lost it.
He has 103 fuel, so he does have enough, and he has 23 fuel income, so in 30 seconds.
He's actually held the side fuel points for most of the game, I believe. Okay, let's unpause it here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So what do we have back at the base? We have 2 machine gun squads, a grenadier, 2 pioneer squads. He still doesn't have the fuel right next to his base because he was fighting that armored car for a while. So right now, I mean, this would be a time just having guys sitting around, run and capture that fuel ASAP with your guys at your home base. I mean, you forced him back to his base. You've got a half track for reinforcing in the field. You've got guys out on the perimeter. Really, these guys at your base should not be sitting here. Send those to the middle ASAP. If you don't have anything to do with them, reinforce them and just send them to the middle because you'll find something to do eventually, I'm sure. And I think that was a grenadier grenade managed to actually kill one of the allied units there at the north.
I think grenadier grenades are going to be looked at in a future patch, if not 1.5, because they're really completely worthless. And it's just kind of funny that the unit that's named after they're called grenadiers. It's like, and their grenades are the worst in the game. So
right,
it's kind of funny.
I think it would be interesting. They might be a lot more useful than they are right now if their grenades actually did as much damage as the Allies. I mean, they cost more than the Allies, don't they? The grenadier grenades, or is it
no,
the
same price.
25?
They just don't have to 25. They just don't have to upgrade it. It comes standard. Rifleman picked up the Panzerschreck by the strap point, as you can see. That's a big blow to the Axis right now. 75 munitions down the tube. And he went a Sherman. That was a mistake. He should have got a Croc, especially with a level 2 veterancy on these grenadiers. Yeah, if he would have got a Croc, I think he might have been able to just completely... I mean, is there any Tier 3 or teching going on? Does he have an AT gun or anything like that? Or just
no, we don't have any Tier 3 buildings. He's getting veterancy instead.
Yeah, I mean, a Croc is perfect when the Axis hasn't established any kind of defensive perimeter that you have to run into. This would be a good time to have actually gotten a Croc.
Another mine by the Allied player that is just destroying everything that it tries to come near this point. And another strat point build.
Another strat point OP. Yeah.
I think those are not worthwhile. I mean, if you're going to put a strat point down and you want to protect something, put it on this plus 16. I mean, yeah, you need to hold that strap point to prevent the enemy from getting fuel, but And the other problem here is the Axis player has not captured any of these northern things. You've got a plus 10 fuel and a plus 16 and a plus 10 munitions. I mean, why couldn't you just send one of your, or build one extra squad of pioneers to send over there? I mean, that is really a lot of resources that should be capturing stuff. We finally have an AT gun up here. And I don't know why he didn't retreat that Panzerschreck squad, because it just got annihilated by the Sherman. You really needed to just retreat it.
And also, if someone went Tier 2, I mean, the Panzerschrecks literally take out OPs in like 4 shots. It's just not worth it in any situation. Plus, he could have had a Calliope right now. He's making another tank, and it's another Sherman. You have to make Crocs. They got such a big buff. I mean, in 1.3 they were kind of useful, and you would definitely probably want one if you went Tier 3 against Tier 2. But now they just kill things so quickly. It's pretty ridiculous.
He took way too long to evacuate that MG. I mean, you can leave it there to act as a distraction, but don't let it get down to one guy. You'll never get out in time. And he's got one Panzerschreck Grenadier squad here, which might have the bug. That might have been the one that lost all but one guy, and he can't upgrade it again. I'm not sure. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but it basically, I think what you're mentioning is that if you say you made 2 Panzerschrecks on a Grenadier squad, they went down to 1 man and they happen to drop both of them, you can't upgrade them again unless you, and that's I think what you're talking about, right? Yeah.
Well, sometimes it happens where I have one Panzerschreck in the squad and I need another, but I can't build the other one. I can only build an LMG for some reason.
Yeah, once you make one, it's like you only have 2 upgrades possible on that. If you lose a weapon, that's it. You can't do it again. So I think it's a balance issue, and that's why it was like that. Because if you lost and then picked up, it's like, and then you upgrade it again, it's like you could have a Grenadier squad with say 3.
Well, no, because they all have a limit. Like you can't pick up more than one Panzerschreck with the rifle squad, so they all have a limit as to how many they can actually physically carry.
No, you can pick up 2 with the rifle squad.
Is it 2? But I know you can't pick up more than 2.
No, not more than
Only
2.
1 if you have bars, I think. Because the bars count as a heavy weapon, too.
I'm not sure. I haven't had the luxury of picking up too many Panzerschrecks in my gaming days.
And now we actually have these rifle squad being, the rifle squad with the Panzerschreck, he is sacrificing to take that victory point. And he really needs to retreat it right now if he wants to hold on to the Panzerschreck. That's a good. There we go. Good job. And he's actually got his. He's got 2 AT guns now, which is what you need. If you build a Pak-38, you always want to build a second. And a very lucky damaged engine in the north. And I'm just lagging here a second, so pause it.
All right,
I'm at 2055. What are you at?
2101.
I don't know why it does that sometimes. Let me get to 2101 and I'll tell you to unpause. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And this northern part of the map is still...
Are you at 2101?
Oh, no, I thought you were supposed to unpause. I'm at 2110.
Nice.
That's why I gave you a countdown.
Yeah. Alright, I'm 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Unpause.
There we go.
We're missing the unpause, Bridger.
Sorry.
Right.
Okay, so the northern section of the map, nobody's getting resources from, and the Axis should just, they have a group here, just reinforce it and send it north to cap those points. I mean, just send a Pioneer Squad, whatever you need to do, because just leaving all of the resources in the north uncapped is really a bad thing, I think. That was a big mistake in this game. He could have had so many more munitions for the fatherland, or for more Panzerschrecks, or for whatever the heck he needs, but instead, he's leaving the entire northern section uncaptured. I mean, he could have had enough for 3 Stugs by this point if he had just gone and recaptured that fuel. And now he's got, that's another problem. You don't want to leave your half-track or any vulnerable unit in a position that, the enemy might just bring up a tank and destroy it. But he got it out of there in time, I think, so that's good.
Yeah, actually the Allies are are connected to all those points. So
they are?
Wow. Yeah, he's like raking in 34 fuel right now, like 54 munitions.
That's a big problem.
Quite a lot.
And the first group he sends goes after the munitions that's plus 10 for some reason, which isn't going to help him because he doesn't have the connection to the fuel at all.
Yeah, but he just wants to decap the fuel and the munitions at the same time.
I guess that's actually a good
plan. It kind of makes sense. I don't know if he's going to get a Calliope. He's 2 points away from a Pershing. Not quite sure exactly where he's going with this one, but we'll see. Ally ATs are known for sniping units in a sense, but this Axis AT seems to be doing a pretty good job on the right. Although now when I say that, of course, it starts missing, right?
Right.
Oh, there it goes again. Just sniped another one.
But he's had units that have just been sitting around a lot of the time near his base when 3 major points are sitting there undefended, uncapped, and that's, I think, one of the biggest mistakes the Axis player has made this game. And actually, that was there goes your flamed up engineers sitting inside that building there, getting hit by 3 directions. That was
yeah, Yeah, I did notice quite a lot of idle units from the Axis, and well, we do see Uni kept around that motor pool unit, the armored car, and now he's raiding with it, and that's giving him a lot of extra maneuverability as far as capping, and he's not so vulnerable to losing squads that way. And that's the trick with going motor pool on this map, is that you really need to keep at least one of those units alive. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a half track with the quad, but at this point it's probably too late for that. A grenade in the church actually did something.
Nice.
But probably not worth the munitions. That's a mine right there he could be laying. We do have another Sherman coming out. I don't know why he doesn't get a crocodile. Seriously, like, oh my god, have you seen those things in action lately? Like, they kill AT guns in one shot, they kill grenadiers in two. We have a Calliope though, and he does have enough for a barrage.
And here comes the Sherman to stop this fuel decap, and oh no. It probably was wise to move his guys out of there, because probably would have lost both of them if he didn't, but that was so close. So I gotta say, good job on that retreat, because a lot of the times people go, come on, I can make it, and then lose a squad that's worth 300 manpower. So that's a very good job there. But he's got units that are just over here sitting around again. I mean, he needs to either make an attack or go back and try and grab that fuel, because right now he's only got plus 10 fuel total, and his opponent is about to reconnect everything on the left side of the map. So at this point, I think the Axis player definitely has a chance, but he's been idle for too much of the time.
Yeah, I think you just missed a Calliope barrage where all the Axis units are. That wasn't probably a very effective Calliope barrage. It probably didn't even kill the MG in that building, did it?
No, it didn't kill the MG. I didn't even hear it or see it. The MG still got 2 units in it, but it's about 10%.
Yeah, if Axis has
he must have done that from really far away.
Yeah, he did it from all the way by his fuel point. That's a little bit too far to do a barrage. It's too spread out. Allies have 3 Shermans on the field and 1 Calliope, so he's got 4 tanks. If he just would charge that position with 4 tanks, I'm sure he could break through it. And if one of them was a croc, I mean, here comes the Grenadiers. We have they're level 3 veterancy. I don't think riflemen can stand up to that. Here comes a grenade.
That again does 0 damage. Oh, do not use Grenadier grenades. There's another big mistake that the Axis player has done. Do not use Grenadier grenades until they're fixed, because they are simply too worthless right now. But here comes the Panzerschrecks into the church that, again, like you said, the riflemen just can't stand up to it. But 3 Grenadier squads might do a big number on this 1 Sherman unless they get something in here. And a miss.
Yeah, he has 4 tanks on the field. I don't understand why he's just sending 1.
Another miss. He's at extreme range, which is the problem.
Also, to the right of the church, there's a mine that was never made. It was laid down and it was never made, so that's a waste of munitions.
Oh, put all his guys in the church right now. Put them in the church. You get protection against the tank, and you can shoot at it with the Panzerschrecks. Put them in the church! Oh, no. That would have been a great maneuver right there by the Axis player, but he's losing a strap point, or a victory point, rather, here on the south. He's got a bunch of AT guns. I don't know what this AT gun is doing. But again, I guess he's written off taking back the fuel for some reason. I guess he decided that he doesn't need it, but I mean, if he had had that fuel this entire time and he could have just pumped out some Stugs to go with those Panzerschrecks, I mean, damn, he'd be in good shape right now. And not even a Croc would be able to hurt him too much, because the Stugs would be able to defend him against the Croc. But,
yeah, I'm just not entirely sure why the Allied player is just sitting here with 4 tanks doing nothing. He's not moving. Like, one of the tanks is on the right by the far path on the right. One of the tanks is on his bridge. The Calliope's right behind that, and one of the tanks is by the fuel. And he's got them all spread out. There's no reason for that.
It could just be that he's overestimating his opponent's strength. I mean, tanks charging this position, if the Axis player did things right, could be a huge massacre. The Allied player could lose all his tanks, because we've got 3 Grenadier squads, we've got 2 AT guns, and a 3rd back at the base if he wanted to pull that up too. So it could be a massive, just death for the Allies if he came and tried to do that, but the Axis player doesn't right now have it set up correctly, so I don't think that's as big an issue as you might think.
Yeah. But if you know some guy's got all that junk and you got 4 tanks, charge his base, get it over with. I mean,
you can see how this veterancy has helped these Grenadier squads. I mean, they haven't lost a single guy so far. Unless they got... Oh, no, one of them probably got, you know, reinforced with the APC. But running over a mine again. But the healing is still helping them a lot because they would have been a lot more guys dead by this point if they hadn't been healing the entire time they're fighting for the last 2 or 3 minutes.
By the way, we have a Croc and a Sherman that was just sitting at the tank depot right next to each other. So we have 2 more tanks on the field. That's 6 tanks, and he can get a Pershing now. I'm just wondering what is he waiting for, you know? I mean, there's no way that the Axis player has that much to counter it. I mean, you want to switch positions so you can see this? I think it might be a good time.
Yeah, let's pause it at 29:30 here.
All right.
When we get there. And here comes the tanks.
Never charge the Croc
29,
first.
30. Okay.
No.
What?
And he's gonna lose that Croc in the middle because he charged first. And you want to flank with the Croc and let your Sherman take it if you have more than 1 tank. But oh well.
All right, I'm gonna switch over to Unisex from Heartcutter here.
Yeah, I'm switched.
29:30. Are you ready?
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And wow, he did lose it. It got hit twice by the AT guns each, I believe, and just that camouflaged AT guns. He actually moved them into a really nice position there by the end. Before he'd had them back here, and they weren't really doing anything, unless he had more than I thought. But a Calliope barrage into the AT guns destroys one and kills a lot of Grenadiers.
I noticed when they get to level 3 veterancy today,
Did he just put the Grenadiers in a burning church? Or no, he moved them away. Okay.
It was an MG. But I noticed today that when Grenadiers get level 3 veterancy, strafing runs don't do really anything to them anymore. So that's a pretty decent counter.
And a Sherman, wow, ran right into 2 AT guns there and a Panzerschreck squad. That was actually a pretty nice trap. It took the Axis player like 20 minutes to set up, but he finally did get the trap and killed the Sherman.
Another barrage coming in the center, although... Well, I mean, he allowed the Axis Tier 2 to consolidate a position, and that's where Tier 2 is strong, is if you can actually get a good defensive position, it's nearly impossible to flush them out of it. But, yeah, I think the Allied player waited too long, and then when he actually attacked, he attacked with his forces in like 3 different spots at once, and I guess he wasn't expecting... to get so much resistance, but he allowed the Allied player so much. The Allied player allowed the Axis player so much time to set up defensive perimeters that I don't know. It looked like he was going to win, and if he would have used his tanks a little bit better, I think he could have. He could have already won the game, but we'll see how it ends up. I mean, that's a lot of AT. I mean, I'm counting like 6 or 7 AT guns and like a bunch of Grenadiers. Bars would have also been a good choice a long time ago, but I guess
did he lose all of his rifle squads? Oh no, they're over here. Okay, there's a single rifle squad left out of all that he's had so far. He does have enough tanks to make a comeback, but again, that's a lot of ATs. What he really should do here is build a sniper that can go in and spot all those ATs and then Calliope barrage 1 or 2 before he goes in. If he can do that, he'll be okay. And he does have enough for a Pershing. I don't know what he's waiting for. He's got 5 points sitting there blinking. That could certainly help him, even against ATs, sort of. But he's got good mine placement again, placing mines on the right side VP. Unfortunately, his opponent has seen him. And a grenade that's going to do nothing. Killed one guy. They're actually going to win. Here comes the bars. That's actually going to do a huge difference in damage when this rifle squad comes up against enemies. Now, the Allied player has had so much stuff this whole game, like so much munitions and fuel, and he threw away a couple of tanks so far. He's got a tank that could use repairing right there. Another one at his base. He's got, you know, engineers at his base that could be repairing stuff, and he's not doing anything on the map right now. He's repairing one unit. I don't know exactly what he's doing right now, but I think he went to get a cup of coffee. You there? Yellow. Did we lose you on Skype? We did. We lost him on Skype. Okay. We're going to pause this. Alright, so, Vitten's back. And, you were just talking to me. The Axis player really is in a great position right now. And I just mentioned, the Allied player is sort of just sitting here. He's not doing anything. He's finally repairing some stuff. But, it just seems like, you know, he's not sure of what to do at this point, but a big problem is he's got his tanks spread out all over the map. You got one over here, one here, and two at his base, and he's got some riflemen over here, but he's really spread all over the place, and I think that's a big mistake for any player to do, Axis or Allies, because if you have your units spread all out, the enemy can just use all his units to kill off your units one at a time or two at a time, and, you know, you're in big trouble. I think he did the right thing. He's building riflemen. That's really what he needs to do to counter those AT. I think if he rushes in with the riflemen, potentially using a Calliope barrage to, you know, take out any machine gun nests in the way to make sure his riflemen can get through and kill the AT, then come in with the tanks as soon as he kills one or two AT guns off, he's going to be in a good position.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about with the Axis player to do a bit better, but I think he's doing a fine job. Just the idle units really is...
Wow! The grenade actually killed three people, and wow, lucky shots for the Axis! That's the only time this game that the grenade has killed more than one person. It was actually worth it that time.
I wonder if Veterancy actually gives him an accuracy bonus. Okay, he built an 88 in what looked like a really great spot. You can kind of... But he's just shooting these buildings, like, every time something walks by, like, he's just... The 88's, like, firing on the building. You can hear it, right, if you go to the center of the map?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right by the well, by the building. The building's almost collapsed from the 88 fire.
I wonder if he's doing that on purpose, so that he could just clear the way.
He might be doing it on purpose. It would seem so, because there's nothing out.
Yeah, what could he possibly be seeing at this point, just so he could shoot? He's now got an open fire lane, which is actually not a bad idea.
I don't know if he has an open fire lane. We'll see how that works out.
I think he'll be able to shoot over the building.
I doubt it, but we'll see. Anyways, yeah.
The Allied player should not attack from the right. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. But just Axis needs to hold their ground. He's got a good defensive position up. Take the VPs. Probably take the VP to the right, not the one that he's actually just captured. That's going to be a little bit harder to hold. And the Allied player needs to use his tanks and do a consolidated push, and scout a bit, definitely. We do have some good, well, what would you call it? I don't know. Some temporary heavy cover put up by the Grenadiers.
Oh no! Registered artillery is destroying these riflemen. He's not going to make it out alive. Nice use of that registered artillery.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue. I think Grenadiers going up against Shermans on the right.
I think that it was probably a mistake to go all the way down the left side of the tree to the 88s before you get to registered artillery. The only reason he was able to even build an 88 is because he's got such a strong position here, and because the Allied player has given him so much time to just dig in and build stuff. Another registered artillery, and he holds the left side completely.
Yeah, he's out of munitions, though. That was pretty much the last.
But he killed two rifle squads. I think it was entirely worth it. Because he's got 2 high munitions points, so he's rolling in them. He can burn it.
I think he's assuming that his opponent has nothing. To be honest. Oh my God! Another Calliope barrage.
Did he at least hit the 88 at all?
Not really, but that building is almost collapsed. He hit nothing with that. He killed the MG that had like 5% health in that building. That was about it. These Calliope barrages from across the river are really not going well. It's a lot of munitions.
The problem with that is he's too far away. If he at least moved up to the river itself and then fired, he would get a lot better accuracy and have a lot better chance of actually hitting anything. But when you go far away, the Calliope barrage is just so spread out that you can't really do a whole lot of damage. You can't even kill an infantry squad at, the max range. I mean, if you get at minimum range, you can do massive amounts of damage. But if you're at maximum range, you can't do anything. The Calliope is only really good. And now he's sending engineers in now to avoid, getting completely owned by registered artillery with a very expensive unit. Unfortunately, he's got to fight off a squad of grenadiers there. And I don't know why he didn't just bring up his Sherman and use the front armor to take out those grenadiers. Now that they're capping, it would be a great time.
Yeah, the Axis player repaired his 88. It doesn't give the crew more health, but the vehicle slash 88 and AT guns, they actually have health just like regular vehicles. You can't see it, but it's always a good idea to repair. He's building another 88 on the road, which isn't necessarily a bad idea either. Let's see if he gets it up in time, because that Sherman is kind of patrolling the area over there.
Yeah, but he's being very cautious with his tanks. I mean, how long has these tanks been sitting here doing nothing this whole game? He's rolling in the fuel. I mean, he could have built 6 more tanks by now. He's building a sniper and a mortar team instead. I don't know exactly what he plans to do with that. I mean, if he just built a bunch more riflemen, I don't know. Sniper maybe needed to take out the AT
Sniper
guns.
and a mortar was about 15 minutes too late, to be honest. Really. But, I mean, I don't...
Oh!
I think his lack of aggressiveness. I mean, there's players that are really aggressive, perhaps too aggressive. I think Uni is just a little bit too passive in his play style. Maybe needs to be a little more aggressive and try some things out. It seems like he's just too afraid to do anything, and the longer you're too afraid to do anything, the more chance that opponent will be able to dig in, and that's exactly what has happened, and now he can't go anywhere, really.
Here's another mistake up here. If you're going to repair your tank, don't repair it with the ass end facing the enemy. Pull it back to an area your enemy isn't just going to happen to run across. Here, if your enemy just sends reinforcements up to this north point, he might see it by accident and kill it, but if you bring your tank back to, say, this corner and face it that way, you have a much better chance of surviving a chance encounter.
The lack of cover usage by these grenadiers is particularly bad. They were just standing in an open field. Also, Grenadiers' accuracy suffers extremely bad. They have extremely bad accuracy from far range. That was a lucky hit right there. With 4 Grenadier squads, if he would have just charged from micro to bit and came from 4 different directions and then shot, I mean, yeah, that Sherman would have been
Yeah, you don't want to group them up, because if you just click them all and drag and click a position, they're just going to clump up, and Sherman's going to kill everything. That's right.
Oh man, that Calliope barrage might actually kill something. Killed the squad.
Look at all those +4s.
Nice. Yeah, he has an AT gun there, but he wasn't able to cap the VP. Fortunately.
Wow, that's a long range on that damn 88. Unfortunately,
there's another registered going up.
Yeah,
that was a bit of a waste.
It's gonna work.
Yep.
If he just had some Volks that he could send over there, he wouldn't have to waste the 88 every time. But,
and also, he's mortaring the center of the map, and he doesn't even know that there's like nothing there. He's got 1 AT gun that's not even cloaked, and like an MG with 2% like 20% health or something like that. When he really needs a, to be honest, I think I would recommend Airborne for Uni, because a good recon flight or two definitely could have compensated. The church just collapsed in the center.
No! Where will they go? To worship.
Yeah, okay. That's actually like the second or third time recently I've seen the church collapse, and I'd never seen that before, but it's pretty cool.
Now he's got engineers over here. They're just not repairing anything. They came over here to do a job, and then they forgot what they were doing. There they go. Or he's not going to repair. He's going to go and attack with the rifleman for some reason. He's got a tank at 60% health. He really should just repair. But I think instead, he's worried about registered artillery.
I don't know how the Axis player did this, but he just queued up 3 more Grenadier squads at the same time.
Wow. That's a lot of floating manpower, but I mean, he hasn't had to do much.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Really sorry, go ahead.
I don't know why you would attack with your infantry first, rather than just repairing your tanks and attacking with those. Because those 2 Shermans, I mean, that's a lot of Panzerschrecks, but those 2 Shermans being fully repaired at long range with an engineer repairing them, and then bars for suppression, they would have done some actually pretty decent job if they had just stayed back here at long range, not sat in front of an AT gun. They could have done some damage, but that was really just bad micro. Ran right into an AT gun, 4 Panzerschreck squads, and a thing. I mean, if you're facing that much AT, stay at long range to avoid being attacked from everything, and just pick off little things from the longest range you possibly can. Because just know that your AT gun, your Sherman has a lot better accuracy at long range than those Panzerschrecks do, and just use that to your advantage.
Yeah, exactly, and also the Sherman area of effect damage is still pretty good, even though they toned it down a bit. And so just shoot, pull back a bit, and it's just like kind of like kiting with Pumas. You just keep on moving, and
that the mortar squad just got completely destroyed by one 88 blast.
Nice.
Well, now he's got control of the middle. If he can attack from 2 sides with tanks and go after that 88, he's in good shape. He's found the thing here. His sniper could take out that 88. Man, just charge it. Why are you turning around? Oh, he's got no time. He's really got to get the victory point, but he's not going for it.
Yeah, it was GG.
Yep.
And there's a sniper taking out. Wow. Yeah. It was an interesting game, to say the least.
Enemy unit down.
But like you said, that sniper-mortar combo could have done a lot, 20 minutes or 15 minutes before it actually came out. That probably would have been the way to make the comeback. There's 2, it's an AT gun and an 88 right there. But if he had just brought out the sniper-mortar combo, the sniper could have just spotted, the mortar could have taken out AT guns, and, well, maybe not AT guns if they were camoed, but he could have taken out the 88s. He could have, harassed a little bit or something, and as soon as he brought tanks in, he'd locate the 88s, drag them back out, mortar the place, but or Calliope the place. He wasted so many Calliope barrages. Let's go over.
You can hit the pause button and it'll reveal the whole map. I don't know I think I mentioned that before, but
okay. Yes, I see it. Okay. Let's go over the major mistakes I think that each player did. Let's start with the Axis player, the winning player. Heartcutter here. I think one of the major problems he had was with idle units a lot of the time. He just had units sitting there not doing anything. And the problem with that is, if you have units sitting there doing nothing, then when they could be doing something, then you're wasting units. You've just got manpower just sitting there. It's as good as having manpower in your stock, just floating manpower, not doing anything with them. At the very least, have them scouting a perimeter that you don't know if there's enemies there or not. The only time you really can't do anything is if you've got like machine guns blocking every exit out of your base, and you really need to wait until you get that mortar or sniper team. That's the only time when you should have idle units, when you really can't do anything. But, a lot of the time, the North, we didn't really know what was there. I mean, he got pushed back by a tank 5 minutes ago, but he has no idea if that tank is still there or not. And even if it is, he's got 3 Grenadier squads and an AT gun that he just left sitting at his base defending it instead of attacking the fuel point. And that was all going to his opponent, which allowed the Allied player to get a huge advantage, which he subsequently didn't take advantage of. But other things, don't use grenades for the Grenadiers. Allied grenades are great. Axis grenades are broken. They just don't work anywhere nearly as effectively as the Allied. He wasted so many munitions on grenades. Only one of them out of the 10 that he threw this game actually was worth spending 25 munitions on, I think. That was my take on the Axis. Any other thing that you saw that the Axis player did wrong?
yeah, just he probably could have he could have used cover a little bit better. As far as when he moved his squads, he should have moved it through cover more. As you can see, he built a lot of heavy cover sandbags. Grenadiers can do that. A lot of people don't know that. And he took advantage of that. Some people say that it stops Calliope barrage area of effect, but I don't believe that. But it would give them, it would put the unit in heavy cover like it has. And I don't know. Besides what you mentioned, I really don't. More mines early on. Once he had like the Semois pin done, a little bit more wire. The opening was interesting. Might have been better for a 3 Pioneer start, just so he could have capped the fuel as well. And it was pretty risky not building any Volks and relying on your Pioneers for capping and your MGs to protect it. But, well, this is a map that you can spam MGs on and expect to win. So
clumping was a big problem, too. I mean, even if you notice at the end, he's got clumps of units all the way together. If you're gonna send a bunch of units in one direction or another, usually a good idea is to select all of them, hit the tab button to cycle through each one. So you've still got the group selected, but you hit tab and it selects the first one. You tell him to go here, here, and then over here. And then you hit tab again and select the second one and say, okay, the second one's going to go this way, and then the third one is going to wind up over here. Just so that they're taking different paths so a single Sherman shell can't hit multiple squads. That's the major thing. If you're moving into territory where you don't know what's there, or you know there's a machine gun or a tank there, always micro your units. This is something I'm not very good at yet. I still got to practice it myself. You always want to micro your units into taking different paths and winding up at different pieces of cover so they don't just get all suppressed at the same time or all destroyed by an AoE attack of some kind, be it a grenade or a Calliope barrage or a Sherman blast. I think that was a big problem with the Axis player because he just had so many squads that a lot of the times just went with each other. They just kind of charged together in a big Russian style, the guy behind me has a gun to my head, so I better run forward mentality. But that's just my take on it. What do you think about the Allies?
You learn that through rifle spamming. But anyways, I think the Allied player would probably benefit more from the airborne tree, just with the air reconnaissance abilities and AT drops. And also, Weapon Support Center got a bad rap, but it actually is kind of decent against Tier 2. Definitely this would have been a situation where an MG from the Allies or a couple early snipers probably would have helped out. Obviously, we've talked about the tanks, the Calliope barrages. I think he played it pretty decently for the early game. There's just so many machine guns just everywhere. There really wasn't much he could do. And he played it properly once he broke out with his motor pool units. But I don't know what happened with the tanks. It's like he didn't want to lose them, but then at the same time he spread them out and then tried to make like charges in 3 different directions, thinking, well, maybe one of the charges will work. Whereas when you have a lot of tanks, you want to keep them together. Well, not next to each other, but like Bridger said,
attacking the same point, even if you come from different directions.
Focus it, and he could have also Crocodile first would have been the ownage in this match, because I don't think the Axis player really had anything at that point to counter it.
He still doesn't have anything to counter Crocodiles, except now he has 88s. But I mean, he never built he never got to Tier 3. He never built any Stugs, and so I think you're right. A Crocodile early in the game against Tier 2. Build a Crocodile and just watch it destroy everything. The first thing you want to do with a Crocodile is find out where the AT gun is, move out of its, drive straight through its arc and get out of its arc as fast as possible, then charge it from a direction it's not facing, kill it real quick, and then just kill everything else that's shooting at you, because you'll kill it in 2 bursts or something. It's ridiculously powerful right now. And I think...
Yeah, he should have masked Crocs if he was seeing this much Tier 2. I mean, it's a risk. I mean, maybe go Croc and then Sherman just to have that tank there on the field, but it wasn't like he was just going to pop out with like 3 Stugs all of a sudden. I mean, Stugs got a 10-second build time increase, and it would have taken him a while to actually take advantage of that, and Stugs are notoriously bad for doing damage to buildings, so even if there was some kind of base rush, some guy surprised me and rushed my base with Stugs one time. They were like level 1 veterancy or something like that, and I was able to counter it. especially because he had a motor pool and a tank depot, so he had two buildings he could have countered it with, as well as upgraded stickies at the same time. I definitely think that a weapon support center would have helped out, and mass Crocs for the win.
And lastly was all those wasted Calliope barrages. Again, one more time, never do a Calliope barrage at max range. Always do it at a close range if you can. Medium range is okay, but get a little bit closer if you can. Always spot it, too. Don't just waste 125 munitions on a random Calliope barrage into something. There could be something in the middle there. I mean, sometimes he fired at an an 88 that was behind a building, so most of his rockets just ran into the building and, exploded short. So that'd be my major thing. Consolidating his tanks, he could have easily won this if he had just taken the tanks when he had 4 tanks and his opponent really didn't have anything but 2 AT guns and some grenadier squads. He could have pushed forward with all the riflemen and everything and just taken back the middle, but he waited way too long. So, I think for him, it would have been a godsend to get a sniper much earlier and just get a recon of the middle, because then maybe he would have felt more confident charging with his tanks.
And I also noticed that there was no usage at all for the Fatherland. No usage at all. He didn't use it once.
Well, with that having been said, let's talk about the good things that each player did, because I think it's worth pointing out some of the effective strategies.
Definitely.
The Allies had some very good use of mines on the right-hand side. He walked his enemy into that trap at least twice that I saw, and the Axis player had some really good micro with his sniper early in the game, despite the fact losing it later, but he did early in the game have some really good micro where he, just picked off enemies and ran away, didn't even bother using camouflage because he was fighting riflemen, and that's exactly what you need to do, and he pulled them right into machine guns when they tried to chase him down, so that was a fantastic maneuver for the Axis player. What do you think about the Allied player?
Like I said, the Allied player had a hard time against those MGs, but he broke out with his motor pool units and did quite a good job raiding. I think that was definitely a strong point. Other than that, I think he had some... I don't know, Bridger. Why don't you add?
Well, I think he did a good job to go for to make up for the fuel problem.
I think he was taken aback by this. Yeah, and he definitely capped a lot of the map. It just... oh my God, we're so tired, aren't we?
Yeah.
So early in the morning.
Yeah, we got to get going here. We got to end this, wrap it up. But let's just point out before we're done, we were very critical of this game, and I think the only major problem here was lack of experience on both sides. I think both players were just unsure of themselves a lot of the times. They weren't sure exactly what to do in this position, or they weren't sure, how effective grenades were, or, one player was being too defensive because they weren't sure what to do, or they hadn't seen a specific strategy before. So I think that was the major thing, and it's just really hard to make up strategies on the fly. And not to mention that, we mentioned idle units all the time. If you're, really stressed out trying to figure out what to do, a lot of the times, you're not paying attention to what you should be paying attention to if your strategy is going well. If you know what you're doing and you've done it before and it's working right now, you can pay attention to all the minor details. But a lot of people including myself, have a lot of trouble microing really well when you're taken aback and forced into a corner and not sure of what to do to counter a specific enemy tactic. So I think that was the major problem with the Axis player, and the Allied player was playing too defensive, probably because he wasn't sure how to counter Tier 2 in this situation. So I'm not saying these guys are bad players. I think these are really, really talented players, in the intermediate area that had some problems because they weren't sure exactly what to do against a specific strategy. They weren't, they showed a lot of places where they had some really good tactics and really good micro, but a lot of places where they weren't. So that leads me to believe that they're good players that just were in positions where they were stressed out and not thinking clearly. That's the main thing. So I think that's it.
Yeah, I would agree that's it.
And again, hindsight is 20/20. We pointed out a lot of mistakes here, but it's not stuff that we haven't already made ourselves and don't necessarily continue to make today, because there's a lot of stuff to keep track of in a single game, and you can't really hold that against these guys. So for Vittensby and myself, I am Bridger. I believe we will close out the show here today, and thank you guys for listening to the Team Sportscast Network. We call the shots. Go to typefrag.com and insomnia365.com. Check out our sponsors for Ventrilo and Game Server Hosting, respectively.
TSN, the Team Sportscast Network.
This broadcast is copyrighted 2006 by the Team Sportscast Network. Any copying, reproduction, redistribution, modification, rebroadcasting of any kind or any manner is expressly prohibited without the written permission of the Team Sportscast Network, LLC.